Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Black Site Studio Terrain.
Hello everybody and welcome to Thursday night. This is Present Arms and we are talking MASH. If you remember the show on TV from 1972 to 1983, that's what we're working on tonight. I have been excited. I could not wait for this. This is one of those things that I truly like. If anybody in there could just message me to make sure that audio sounds good, I would appreciate it. And I want to welcome Rasmus, and Dylan's on with us, and Big Jim Oriskany, and I just bumped the camera. I apologize. We'll see what's going on. And we are going to paint up some guys tonight. So I am trying new microphone and or not microphone, I'm sorry. I'm trying a different OBS version with a handheld remote, so I'm just trying to make sure everything's set up right. So if you guys could jump on and let me know if you're able to hear me, that would be grand. Okay, Dylan says it sounds good to me. Excellent. Let's get started, shall we? Let me put my phone, i.e. remote control, off to the side here, and we'll go from there. I'll try and monitor comments best I can on this program. Try not to bump the cameras out of whack here. So what I've got in front of me is, and let me bump up to the wide angle camera so you can see here, is, if I can get it in there, the MASH unit, Korean War Mobile Army Surgical Hospital from Warlord Games. There it is. So I'm going to put that off to the side because we don't need that right at the moment. And I've already primed them. Oh, my camera's in autofocus here. Sorry, guys. I should take that out. But right here, I've got their version of Hawkeye. Klinger. Frank Burns is right here. Over here, everybody knows Hot Lips Houlihan. Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan with a patient. Let me take that autofocus off. Give me 1 second, guys, because it's going to get really annoying as I'm moving around. It takes me 2 seconds. Focus is... Okay, let's see if we're in focus there. I don't know why it went off of focus, but let's see if we're in focus there. How's that look down there? Does it look in focus? I hope. Yep, looks pretty good to me. All right, perfect. Okay. Fantastic. And then on top of those fine characters, we have these. And I'll start from here. That is the distinguished Major Charles Emerson Winchester, the benevolent leader, Colonel Potter, Father Mulcahy, Radar O'Reilly, and BJ Honeycutt, right there. If everybody can see that. Okay. Jump over to comments real quick, just see how the things are going. I'm doing this off my tablet. Wow, look at this. Our official sponsor has joined us tonight. Welcome. So, as you guys saw in the video ad prior to the start of the stream, Black Site Studio is our official first ever sponsor of this podcast and live streaming, and they have tremendous terrain. If you guys have been following us for a while, you know I picked up the demo table they built for Spectre Miniatures from Adepticon. We're going to be doing some demo game on there for different rule sets, and we are definitely going to be working in for future projects with them. I'm going to pick up some more terrain myself because I like this. I like it, and we're going to definitely do some modern wargaming. So if you guys have not checked them out, make sure you're checking them out, and check out their website, their Facebook page, And they have some really great stuff, and they're always turning out some exciting things. The Stalingrad, I think it was Stalingrad table that they worked on over the weekend was amazing. So let us begin. So the question is, who do we paint first? Well, because this is the first time in a long time that I get to paint something that's not camoed, per se, I thought, let's go with Hawkeye Pierce. So let me remove him from, as I drop stuff all over the place. Sprue, as you can see, I've already primed them. Let me move in so you can see. I might have to adjust this camera here. I'm afraid if I do that, I'll just have to pay attention more. Right where I'm at. So what did I use to prime them, and why did I prime them in this beige flesh color? Let me see where there's a good angle on the camera. I'm going to mark that spot. Bear with me. That's what's good for using scrap wood. I can make a mark. All right. Perfect. So what did I use? I used, and I'll go to the wide, Stylin Res Primer. We get these samples all the time. They're made by Badger Airbrush Company. I get them at Adepticon. They come in the grab bags. So that's what I used. I used my Iwata airbrush. This is and I'll show this to you guys here. This is the Iwata Revolution. I use that as a primer. And then when I want to get a little fancier on airbrush, I will use a Badger. I have two Badgers. And this is the Badger Extreme Aero with the smaller cup, fully adjustable, fine tip, really nice airbrush. And I just picked up myself a 4-way airbrush holder air station so I can hook up 4 airbrushes on independent lines with a filtered air supply and adjust flow from the holder station. So it's really, really nice. Let's see, I'm just going to try and catch up with that. Going to be converting all our historical stuff to 15 mil over the next few months. 10 mil will be on the docket after that. That is amazing. I cannot wait for 10 mil because we've been talking about doing modern, maybe Team Yankee at 10 mil or 6 mil, so 10 mil would be perfect. The match figures are great. They really look good. I'm kind of surprised how they got away with the likenesses. There had to be some, deal. I don't know. Did they find a loophole when 20th Century Fox got taken over by Disney? Who knows? It's just that interesting. Let me set up a temporary tablet stand. I guess I could have brought the regular tablet stand, but that means I have to unhook wires and stuff, and I want to do that right now. Let's see if I can get this to work. Maybe not. Maybe. Chris has joined us. Welcome, Chris. Walkabout Games. All right. Enough fiddle-faddling around. Let me get my handy-dandy Citadel paint handle. Put Mr. Captain Pierce in here. And put him there so y'all can see. All right. So the nice thing about this is I get to paint some red. So obviously his lounge coat, bathrobe, whatever you'd like to call it. And let me focus on that because, again, that is out of focus and I don't like it. I was taught by the Lloyd Johnston School of Camera Operations. No, that's exposure. Sorry, guys. Focus. Well, it's hard to see when you're... All right, we'll auto it. I know you guys... What are you doing? Auto, then switch to manual. There. Okay, perfect. That should do it. Okay, so we're going to paint his bathrobe in red. Let me move out my airbrush cleaning station. And I definitely need new paint palette here. I'll grab a new one. Make sure I have a clean paper towel, which I do. And a piece of palette paper. And again, this paper, this wet palette paper here, comes courtesy of our friend Radagast over in England. And he has a paint studio and called Radagast Workshop. So if you're looking for some wet palette, I just use a kitchen sponge and wet palette paper. You know what? Excuse me as I reach across cameras here as I set up. I was so worried about getting the OBS software working, I didn't prep. So let me move Margaret out of the way. So we're going to work on Hawkeye here. So we're going to get some red. And I think for this, Skoback joins us. Well, there's a nice crowd out today. Definitely looks more like Alan Aldo than Donald Sutherland. Definitely 100% agree with you on that one. So I think I'm going to use some Antares red. Uh-oh, we lost the camera. What happened here? Did it shut off on us? Uh-oh. Oh, nowhere. That came unplugged. Stand by. We have a power failure. Stand by. That should not have happened. That should not have happened. I gotta check on something here. So we're going to take a short intermission. While we're on this intermission, enjoy this ad.
Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Black Site Studio Terrain.
And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Let me get Hawkeye into the right spot. Thankfully, we were able to fix that quite easily. The power cord came undone, and I didn't even realize it. Okay. Last minute painting for Lord of the Rings this weekend. I want to play Lord of the Rings. I'm so proud of you guys getting a sponsor. I know. I can't be any happier or prouder of who we're working with, and I'm looking forward to doing some custom content with those guys as well. So, really looking forward to that. All right. So, again, sorry guys. We are going to be using scale 75. I'm trying to get this in here so you can see it. Antares red. Oh, where's the camera? There it is. I'm looking at 10 different screens right now, so bear with me. And I'm making the robe brighter than it's probably going to be because we're going to wash it down, obviously. And I need some paint brushes. And let me go to, what set am I using today? No, that's a Hobby Final set. That's my fine detail set. Moving right along. Aha! We're going to use synthetics. And yes, these are my preferred brushes. Again, as everybody knows, Games and Gears, synthetics. Okay? I do like naturals. Kolinsky sables are obviously amazing. But I do like the Games and Gears. One reason is that they're local to us here in Illinois. They're out of Peoria now. He's no longer in England. He moved over here from the UK. And So he's local to us, and Sam is always very, very generous at shows. He gives us sets to pass out as gifts to some of the Patreons and supporters of not only the sit rep, but when we work with OTT. So that is very good as well. So if you're not had an opportunity to get their brushes, I say please do. Give them a shot. They're all metal casing. Sam is an amazing painter in his own right. I am just ecstatic that I get to paint a color other than green, shall I say. Just ecstatic. Even though I am die-hard military, after a while, you definitely want a little variety. I was almost tempted to go back to paint Napoleonics. Just to do the colors. But I can tell you, after the one podcast, or live stream I should say, where we talked about how we paint multi-figures, so I went and did that with the Canadians that I did the pictures of that are on the Black Site Studio terrain table that they built that I purchased from them from Adepticon. I did those in the assembly line process, so it turned out really, really well. It worked well. And the nice thing about that is I have a really bad habit of when I'm painting, especially camo, that I don't keep notes of what colors I use. Because if you haven't seen my paint table, I have about 250 paints sitting in front of me. Multi shades of different greens and browns and blacks and whatever else. And so after a while, I kind of lose track of what I was doing. It's like when I cook. People ask me, well, how did you do that? What's your recipe? I don't have a recipe. It's all by intuition. I had Greg and Alicia from Dust USA. They spent a weekend with us in July. Sorry, guys. And they do it once a year. They come up and just have a chillax weekend before Gen Con, but after Origins, when they got a little bit of a break, they bring their daughters up. We have a great time, just chillax. And I was teaching one of the daughters about cooking, and I told them, cooking, there's two ways to cook. There's the science of cooking, and there's the art of cooking. And I am all about the art of cooking. Cooking is an art form. It's not a science. You can make it a science, exact ingredients, and you got to do this exactly this way, and you got to do this exactly this way. But to me, cooking is an art. You got to do it with feel, and there's got to be a sense of pride and love in what you're doing. If that makes any sense to anybody. That's when you know that stuff's coming through. All right. Not too bad. Not too bad. So another exciting thing that happened to me recently, and I'd like to hear from you guys, is we had our second annual Crosstown Classic softball game last night. It was my hospital versus, so it was Amita Health Mercy Medical Center here in Aurora. It was my hospital, and I was the coach, against St. Joseph Medical Center in Elgin, Illinois. We play once a year against each other because we're in the same region, same company, Amita Health. And we had our Crosstown Classic last night, and we won the trophy this year. This is the second annual one. We won 16-3, which was really great because last year we got our butts kicked. So we worked on a great team, and yeah, woo. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Let me catch up on some comments while Hawkeye dries a little bit. I don't want the red to smear. Let me see. Yes, because we sold out. Are totally corporate now. Just kidding, of course. Rasmus, cleaning MDF and helping with math homework. Oh, outstanding. I've been sucked into old Star Wars galaxies. Really? What grade math homework? Oh, no, don't talk about math homework. Good to see sponsorship of a worthy podcast. Thank you. Also, all of you guys that are our Patreon sponsors, the most recent edition of the podcast went out just about a half hour ago. So you guys should have access to it. And then for everybody else, it'll go out tomorrow. Might have missed it. Is that an Old West figure? No, that's Hawkeye Pierce from MASH. See, he's got his martini glass, his bathrobe. It'll look much more familiar when you see it. So, let's see. Dylan says one excrement to other. I end up testing colors on spare bits to sprue to figure things out. Smart move. If I was smart, I would just keep note cards and just do a dab of paint, put the name next to it, and just. Yeah, I know people that do that. Like all my friends that are weather, for lack of a better word, rivet counter modelers, exact everything. Let's see. Rasmus says, trouble's not doing it, but rather the help. Baking bread is mostly a science. I agree with you on that one. If you don't have those things 100% right, you do have some problems. Starting a 4-day weekend, many things on the stove. Op Center episode, I can't wait for that. Poland gameplay video, that sounds amazing. Redesigning Gulf War Panzer Leader. Old West miniatures for Dad. And running one, possibly 2 games. Oh, is that all, Jim? Jeez, you're slacking this weekend. Thank you for the congratulations. Congrats on the pics on Facebook. Thank you. Listen to the very first half of the good. I hope you guys really enjoy it. We're really excited. We're going to get the guys from Black Site on a show. We're going to talk about things. And, while you're on, what do you guys recommend as a good primer for MDF? For stuff that's unpainted, because, a lot of it, MDF or HDF soaks up liquids, paints and everything. What do you guys recommend as a primer? All right. He looks pretty dry. So we are going to have to paint his t-shirt and his fatigue pants. And for the fatigue pants, it's old khaki green. The old khakis. And let's see. I'm trying to decide. Do we go NATO green? Let me look at the box. Let me see how green they went with it. They went pretty dark. Do we go Soviet green? That's pretty brown green. Or do we go Warthog green? You know what? I'm going to try the Warthog green. We'll see how that goes. I might lighten it up a little bit. Yes, I'm using some Team Yankee bullets, as you all can see here. I'm a sucker for those special everything. So, all right, let me shake this up. Gesso, I have a big can of it. I don't know how good it is. It's probably 20 years old now. Canvas primer, yep. That's what I used it for when I did oil painting back in the day. Honestly, we just used Rattle Can Rusto Gray Primer. Wow, that's awesome. All right. That might be enough. It might darken it up a little bit, so I'll just keep that there. Let me throw some Warthog green. And speaking of Warthog green, or Warthog A10 Thunderbolts, is it Thunderbolt? Jim, what is it? A10 Thunderbolt 2s? It's Thunderbolts, right? The Warthog, as we lovingly call it, just got a new lease on life. They just completed re-winging the aircraft. which makes them good for another 20 years or so. 20 to 30 years, I think they said. Those things will still be flying, which is a good thing, honestly. If you've never had the privilege of the experience of being around an A-10 when it's doing its business, you're missing an incredible sight. You got to remember that airplane was built around its Gatling gun. Well, it's oh heck, I'm having a heck of a time tonight. Is it 30 millimeters? It's 30 mil, right? 30 mil. And then the pilot controls the aircraft from a titanium bathtub. So to me, it is a flying tank, or tank destroyer to be more accurate. But it reminds me of the tradition of the Air Force of the B-17. And why do I say that? Because the B-17 could take punishment like nobody's business and still return and save lives and crews. So that's yep. When I was at Fort Leonard Wood, the Missouri Air National Guard used to train at the firing ranges there all the time with their A-10s. We would hear them all the time going off. So it was pretty spectacular, I must say. All right, let me see if I can get that in there for you. So I'm using some of the Comrade Khaki. It kills me to say this on camera. Comrade Khaki for the tan-ish of their shirts. Is it tan or green? Or am I thinking us modern? No, it's kind of a... I'm going to put a green wash on it because it's really not tan. It's like a really light... Yeah, we'll go with it. It'll work once I'm done with it. Okay, while I got this paint out, let's get Hot Lips over here. And we'll go ahead and paint up her t-shirt. Because we're going to give it a green wash. And that'll change it drastically. You can see that? Yep. I was reading a story while I was waiting for some things to download about the author that MASH, the movie / TV show, is based upon. He was a real trauma surgeon or cardiothoracic surgeon in Korea. He had just gotten out of medical school and was drafted. Yes, they drafted doctors back then. And I guess at the time, in the Army's infinite wisdom, you could not do vascular repair. You pretty much had to clamp off or suture off vascular damage and transport them out, which obviously by doing that, your people lose their arms, they lose legs, they lose their life. So he went against the medical system of the military and started doing vascular repair. And then other surgeons caught on it, and they started doing it as well. So then he wrote the book about his time in Korea. And then the movie MASH was based on the book. And then the TV show, which most people know. So there's a lot of people that don't know there was an actual movie before the TV show. And it is totally different in some ways. obviously, than the TV show. So we'll put her off there. So now we're going to go to his green pants. And remember to thin down your paints. Thin coats. Thin coats, as Mr. Duncan would say. And if you are a fan of painting, and if you know anything about Games Workshop, they have one of their online personalities, Duncan. And he does painting tutorials. And it's pretty good. So I'm making the colors brighter than probably need to be. And this is really watered down, but that's okay, actually. Because I am going to wash it down, and it's going to darken it. And I think it'll get me to the shade I want. And if it doesn't, no big deal. On the second coat, we'll go a little bit darker. So other than Big Jim Oriskany, oh, speaking of Big Jim Oriskany, have you guys seen the amazing shot glasses you can now purchase on our store on Zazzle.com? The official Big Jim Oriskany drinking game shot glass? And it has his famous quote on it. Long story short. So every time you're watching one of his videos or listening to one of our conversations, and he ends up with long story short, you take a shot. Fantastic game. Fantastic game. Let's see, I'm going to do a quick catch-up on, let's see, the really cool footage of Warhogs Online. Massive Destruction. I can tell you from practical experience, they have saved my ass. It was more or less based on the I2 Sturmovik, steel bathtub, widely spaced redundant. Oh, I didn't know that. See, learn something from Jim every day. Primarily gun arms, so on. What kind of Old West stuff are you painting, Jim? Knuckle Duster miniatures. Amazing miniatures. They just came out with a Wild Bill Hickok mini. They have a new Buffalo Bill mini. I think a Kit Carson. They have some really great miniatures. I got to reach out to Forest and get some of those new miniatures. They look really great. Let's see. That's pretty much how major military medical innovation happens. Exactly so. The cat tourniquet, which everybody carries now, I carry one on my vest, is a military item. Quick clot powder came from the military. Unfortunately, most military innovations come out of war. So, yeah, that's pretty good. So remember, guys, get your official Big Jim Oriskany drinking game shot glass. All right. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to mix in a little bit of the Warthog green here. And just go over it. Oh yeah, better. I'll make sure you guys can see it. I know it's kind of hard to see sometimes. So if Jim and I were talking, we have another big World War II anniversary coming up in September. And we are talking about the feasibility of celebrating the anniversary in the proper wargamer fashion of some Panzer Leader, Panzer Blitz, Arnhem, Bridge Too Far. That would be a good one to play in 6 or 10 mil. If you had a big, say a 6 foot by 25, 30 foot table, and you could run the highway there and simulate Eindhoven, Nijmegen, and Arnhem, that would be cool. And you make it a race-based game, right? Obviously, it's just like in the actual game itself. You make it a race-based game. You know, you have so many turns, you got to save. You know, like, what's that guy's the actor's name, but did the big briefing to the 30 Corps. that they are the cavalry and the paratroopers are the settlers that are surrounded by the Indians and they're racing to their rescue, right? You kind of do that whole thing. That would be good. Horrocks, thank you. Let's see. Let's see. I have my own drinking game. My dad will finally be proud of me. Oh, Lord. Looks like I got some shopping to do. Market Garden. Yes. Excellent. So there's definitely some stuff in that would be awesome. It really would. Okay, so Hawkeye's coming along pretty nice. We need a little bit of black, but I don't want to go black because of his boots are worn out. So let's see. I'm going to do some German gray. Let's see if I can get that in for you. Watch out, Hawkeye. Flames of War, German gray, 995. It's a Vallejo paint. Shake that up real good. Okay, now I have to watch that movie again. I watch it at least twice a year. I love that movie. It's one of the movies I remember as a child watching with my dad. I think it's his fault I went into the paratroopers. But I wanted to be a British paratrooper when I was a kid. I thought they had real panache. And they had cooler uniforms. You know, they had those smocks. But then again, I like Tommy guns. Thompson machine guns. I don't know. I thought it was just cool. I liked the color sergeants and just the way the British carried themselves. All right. His boots are done. Got some red touch-up to do. We'll go ahead and do a wash on that red. I have a Flames of War army because of that movie. I actually wore one of those smocks and they're horrendously itchy and uncomfortable. Really? Are they wool? I'm assuming they're wool. Most British uniforms are wool, weren't they, back then? And I know some Americans were as well. If you wanted to do your whole highway from face to face in armament 15 mil, it would be a half mile long. Well, what would it be in 10 mil or 6 mil? Hey, we can make that happen. Alrighty. Okay, let me touch up his red here a little bit. So, we are, to help celebrate, I am not going to use these characters, these minis, in the traditional sense. And you're asking, oh, how is that? There is a set of RPG rules that I backed on Kickstarter called Mashed. Yes, you heard me right, Mashed. And it was an RPG based on, you guessed it, MASH. But, you know, of course, there's copyright infringement and all that stuff. So they called it Mashed. And you can play different, you know, docs and nurses and different other characters in the game. And it's an RPG. And obviously there's a lot of adult themes in it. But that's what I'm going to use these guys for. Other than to display them, I am going to use them to use as my PCs. I think that'd be pretty cool. Might have to invite some of you all to play along with us. Oops, missed the underside of his arm. And I'm off camera again. I'm going to have to get a monitor set right in front of me so I can see when I'm doing wrong. You're wrong. Thin coats. Duncan would be so proud of me. Duncan is a really nice guy. Dawn stalks Duncan. She stalked him at Adepticon the first year they came back. GW came back, and we heard Duncan was coming. She stalked him, cornered him at the Starbucks. Got a picture. She was ecstatic. I will go to Chicago for something like that. 28mm aircraft carrier. Oh my God. Could you imagine the size of a 28mm aircraft carrier? That'd be redonkulous. All right. Well, Pierce is looking pretty darn good, I must say. I guess we could paint his hat. I'm trying to leave the... Oops, I missed more red. Gosh darn it. Much better. Okay. So I missed the inside of his arm, and there's a little bit of his inside of his bathrobe. And his hat was straw colored, wasn't it? Yeah. (1,880 feet stem to stern. Is that all? 19 feet, 5 inches long. Oh, that's doable. That's totally doable. Do. Well, for straw colored. Choices. That's the only problem with having so many paints. Some of them are just not in easy reach when you're filming. So it becomes a problem. That's not that color. You know what? We're going to use a different option here at all. 4 feet, 5 inches wide. Oh, that would be awesome. I got a garage that could go in. You think we could have a war game weekend with that as a centerpiece? And do some modern, like we'll say the Chinese try to take over the USS JFK. Okay. So I'm using Formula P3. Here, let me get this out of the way so you can see. Menoth white base for his hat. Get over there. And I hate pots. I hate them with a passion. It's not too terribly different in shade-wise than the base, but that's all right. When I go in and put a coat on it, it'll look just fine. Sorry, I like to concentrate on small areas and I forget to talk. That's why I like painting so much. It's so relaxing. It lets me focus on a simple task, if you will, and then I don't have to worry about the day-to-day crud. which I like immensely. Okay. We'll let that dry. I'll catch up on some more comments here. Was it a dropship commander company that did the huge dropship? Yes. Dave did that. I wonder how my wife will take the news she's losing the main dining room. Yeah, we basically did a Dark Star style ship in 10 mil. It was like 12 feet long or such. Our Pavlov is right under 12 feet at the playable area, and that thing is crazy big. It feels like roughly 3 meters, so a little short if I recall correctly. Ooh, we need a Riskany and a Kraken too. Pavlov's house in Stalingrad. Yep, put it out as a huge Stalingrad themed line in 28 mil. Yeah, that's one that just you were showing off. Yeah, Jim, not being on Facebook, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. I would love to buy one, but I think it would shred my insanity. Instructions will be online in a week or so if you wanted to look through it and convince yourself one way or the other. I like it because it can be used in a modern setting as well as World War II, any era. Never Facebook. You could have an anonymous account just for gaming, Nobody would know. You could call the Ariskany page. And then we could put you into the War Game Creators page that I've built that I have all these wonderful modern people part of, and I have done nothing with it since Adepticon because I have 20 million other projects going. I would know. Well, of course you would know, Jen. But you would be part of it too. You would be the one correcting our grammar and making sure our calculations are correct. I don't think Jim has any problems with fact checking on correct calculations, but the rest of us mere mortals do. All right. Oh, I like how this is. I don't know if you can see that, but the separation a little bit, it's highlighted. It's almost like a wash in of itself here on his pants. I really like that. It's all. You know what it reminds me of? Everybody's buying those contrast paints right now. I made my own contrast paint. Ha! Funny stuff. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to do some hair and his thoughts. So for that, I'm going to use model color, if I don't drop it on the floor, flat flesh, which is one of the worst paints ever made, because it just cakes on and the color is just flatter than flat. I just don't like it. But I use it as a base. And you can mix in and bring out some color to it. There's much better colors out there. Scale 75 makes good ones. Army Painter makes a lot of good ones. I'm just using this because it sits right in front of me, so that's why. I need a motorized carousel that I can order up paints. That would be cool. Then I could just press a button, a rotating carousel comes through. Bada bing, bada boom. We are good to go. All right, so I'm going to take some of this Comrade Khaki, ugh, to give it a little shade, and I'm going to mix that in. It's going to turn it a little on the greener tone. Because Ellen Alda is an Italian, after all, so he does have a little bit of a olive skin tone. It's not drastically obvious. But he's not very pale either. Okay, I'll paint up his face and arms. The detail on these seems really clean. I mean, I'm making out his ears, his hairline really easily. It's not blended in. They did a really nice job on these. Make sure you can see that. So let's be truthful. While you guys all enjoy coming in watching me paint things, the true purpose of this get-together, the shindig, is community. Well, we can all sit, chat, tell stories, tell tall tales, tell war stories, if you're so inclined, and just share camaraderie, esprit de corps, if you will, and love of the hobby, in whatever format you play it. We are all welcoming here at the Sit Rep. So whether you're a miniature player, a traditional hex encounter player, a video game player, or board game player, or whatever combination, or even card games now, because I have a couple of card games, war related. So yeah, we welcome you. We try and encompass everything so nobody feels left out. I will be picking back up on Arma 3 here sometime soon. It's just that, again, there's just not that much time. I'm picking and choosing my battles. And this came in, and I'm like, I gotta paint MASH. I love me MASH. Do you know that the final episode in 1983, May of 1983, is still the record holder for the most watched last episode of a series? Even today. And it was funny, I was listening to some background bit on MASH, and they said one of the reasons is that back then, if you remember, you had CBS, you had ABC, you had NBC, you had public television, and maybe an independent, and that was it. You know, cable was just in its infancy. A lot of people didn't have it, didn't see the reason for it. You know, HBO was just coming out, MTV. I think 83 wasn't that the first year of MTV? So there wasn't a lot of choice. So, you know, yeah. All right. Painted. We will now go to shading. Well, I want to do his hair first. And he does have brown hair. So while his face is drying and his hands are drying, let's go to the chat. Jim is the grammar police. Contrast paint's so hot right now. I don't understand what is so special about contrast paints. I don't use them. I mean, aren't they just a thinned out paint? Almost like a wash or an ink? The World of Tanks card game is great for winding down after a convention or game day. Really? Have you guys tried? There was a Kickstarter game. It's a World War II based card game. Oh my gosh, what is it called? It's by the same company that made Onus, which is a card-based miniatures game. The miniatures are printed on cards, and you move it as a unit, which I have that as well. And I like the games. They're actually really cool. Before Lost became Lost the Thread. The contrast paints, that is. Yeah, they're really nothing great. Gotcha. Back when they knew how to end a series as opposed to Sopranos or Game of... Game of Thrones. Oh, my God. We could talk about that all bloody day. So, yeah, just craziness on all levels. All right. I am going to go ahead and we're going to... He looks dry. And I keep getting out of focus. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? Let me back up the camera a little bit. I'll widen the shot. Oops. Now that would be the wrong way, dummy. Okay, there. That might help with screen. And I'm assuming you can still see detail. I think I can. Yep, I'm looking at the pre and post broadcast. So, Hawkeye, you're looking good. Let's put some brown hair on you, my friend. I love the nickname Hawkeye. When I was a kid, I wanted to be known as Hawkeye. And it wasn't really for the TV show as much as it was for the Deer Hunter. Or the Last of the Mohicans. Not Deer Hunter, the movie, you know, where they blow their brains out. But the book, The Deer Hunter. I mean, the movie The Deer Hunter was good, but, man, it's just too weird. Just too weird. Come on, brother. Give me some brown. I got a clog thing, and my unclogger is underneath my tablet. Oh no, my unclogger is missing. My unclogger is just a nail, a really small nail that I keep on my... Oh no, I lost my nail. Son of a biscuit. Another good reason to keep old airbrush needles is you can use them to unclog things. They work really well. When when you've ruined the tip and it doesn't spray right anymore, you can use those to unclog. No kidding. All right, well, I'm going to have to go to a different brown because that one's clogged. I cannot find my needle at the moment, but that's fine. I've got millions of browns. Brown. Mr. Brown. Paging Mr. Brown. All right, we'll use a chocolate brown. I'll probably, well, once I get the color of the wash in there, it'll be fine. You know, I have this really fancy paint shaker that I haven't used in a while. And I bought a whole bunch of stainless steel BBs to help mix the paints. Steady as you go. See, the other thing with these streams is that I'm painting it to a decent standard, tabletop. If I wanted to do a competition level, you guys would be bored out of your mind. Because it takes a long, long time to get it to a level where you're happy with it when you're doing competition. And I will show you an example of something. Oops, I missed his hair there a little bit. I need to go get my eyes lasered. All right, we'll leave that sit. I'll show you one that I took a long time on. It is not a modern miniature, so don't report me to the police. But this is the GW Special Edition Bugman from Bugman's Cafe at Games Workshop at headquarters there at Warhammer World in Nottingham. We went there after Salute one year, or no, not Salute, UK Games Expo actually, and I spent weeks painting this guy up. And I painted the stoneware myself because it's just a plain base, and he came out really, really good. I'm very proud of this one. So let me put him back. All right, while we're finishing letting Hawkeye's hair dry, and before we go to staining, oops, I got that blue light filter on. I can't stand that. Okay. All right, let's see. Seems that all good shows either are given the money for an ending, they just butcher it, or cut 2 seasons. Yep. Oh my God, is not Black Sites in Texas? Yep. Some of my family's in Amarillo. Excellent. Lubbock. Excellent. Looks great. Thank you. Part-timer drives in once a week from Amarillo. Bugman. Thank you. Great Dwarf. Yep. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So, just one of those ones that it was a total, I'm just going to paint this because I really liked it. And I knew not. I'm still very naive when it comes to Warhammer, whether it's fantasy or 40K. I have the sets, because I'm one of those, I gotta buy that, and I still haven't played it. And I bought a whole bunch of What was I going to say? Lord of the Rings stuff that we assembled when I was over there in February in Ireland, and still have yet to play it. We played one game when I was over there. I have yet to paint it. The main reason we went over there obviously is to visit our what we now call our family. A lot of the guys from Warren and Andrea and the kids. Dawn is really good friends with Andrea, and we like going out there, and we've been associated with them for, oh my goodness, 7 years now, almost 7 years. Yeah, quite a while. And so we go and visit, and then we had the incredible Jerry take us through Rourke's Drift, and it was awesome. It was everything I hoped it would be. I'm using a Army Painter Flesh Wash right now. I don't know if you can see that, but that's what I'm using. And sorry guys, I'm going to have to do a better camera setup. I need like a real armature or something, All right. But I do like their washes, and you got to be careful with them though, because they're essentially a varnish, like a furniture varnish. And if you don't do it correctly, you'll get sticky blotchy. They say do the shake method and this method. You just can't just dub it on and let it sit. You got to move it around a little bit, get it to where you want. Now, there's a lot of people, professional painters, scale modelers, that will tell you to gloss your minis before you do washes, because then it only goes into the recesses where you want it, which is true. But for this, I'm all good. Yeah, it's coming out nice. So you got to think about skin tones and makeup on people, because a lot of these flesh paints you get, like I said, it can be really, really just clumpy and just don't look right. Okay, now I'm going to use light tone on his hat and the rest of them. So let me clean my brush. And I don't know what the difference between the flesh tone and the light tone is. I'm assuming there's a pigment difference, obviously, because if I put them next to each other, they look pretty darn close. I'm assuming one has a little bit more red in it than the other, or brown. So we'll use a little bit of light tone, and I'll do his hat first. Okay, do the underside. All right. Okay, Hawkeye's coming along. I'll see if I don't know how well you can see him. Let me see if I can get him under the light better for you. We're going to definitely lighten up his skin now that we've gotten the base down, but I'm going to now use the light tone, and we're going to go over his clothes. I could use the red tone, but I want to tone it down a little bit. Tone it down. Hey kids, tone it down, would ya? We had a neighbor that talked like that in Chicago. I come from originally, my grandparents and my dad lived on Melrose Ave there in the city of Chicago. And my other grandparents lived over on Spalding, which is off of Belmont Avenue, which isn't too far away from Melrose, which was off of Belmont Avenue, or in Western. And back then, you pretty much lived in the neighborhoods, and the neighborhood my dad grew up in was mostly people from the South, Germans, and Italians. Imagine that combination. Hillbillies, Italians, and Germans. And I could say that because I'm half hillbilly and half Italian, so at least they used to call me a hillbilly dago as a kid. All right, we'll let that dry up and I'll catch up on things. All right. Ooh, I'm going to have a little bit of water. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay, I'm back. All right, let's see. Da-da-dee. Great dwarf. He's a dwarf who made the best beer in the world. His brewery was destroyed. Now he wanders the land drunkenly with his posse, getting revenge. Excellent. Is there a book? What's their Black Press Library or Black Library do a Bugman book? I would love to read it. Their washes can also crack if you don't shake them enough. Really? Interesting. Very interesting. Look, guys, we are 47 followers on our Twitch channel. If we can get to 3 more followers, tell your friends. Then we become an affiliate of Twitch. I honestly don't know what that means, but I just want to be an affiliate of Twitch. So we're moving right along. Hawkeye's looking good. We're going to lighten up his face and his skin. And then got to work on the El Famous martini glass. Okay. Let's see here. See, it's still a little wet. The wash is still a little wet. See, it's too light. I'm going to have to go with a stronger wash on him, but I'll do his skin tone. And we're just going to go highlight with just a little bit. Just a little bit. Gotta draw that paint out a little bit. And now, when you're doing faces, remember you want to do the high areas where light's going to hit. And I like to blend if possible, so it's right. You want to blend, gently blend. Gotta get his ear. And bring out that character on him. Gonna lighten him up a little bit more because he looks a little too dark now. It's better to do small amounts and lighter amounts because you can always add, you can't take away, right? Just like in cooking, science, painting, bullets. Yes, I said bullets. Because think about it, when you're shooting something, you can't take it back. You can add more if you need to get the business done, but you can't take it back. Let's see how that looks. What do you guys think? How's it looking? I want to lighten up his hair a little bit. So I know we used some of this brown. I'm going to draw out some brown, and I'm going to use some flesh to give me some lighter highlights. I like using what I have on the palette. I'm going to clean my brush. And I'm just going to dab a little bit. And I'm just going to dab a little bit. Lighten it up a little bit. Because that brown can look really lifeless and flat. So I wanted to lighten it up. And I got a little too much brown on his hat. So we'll fix that. And just by blending that much in, kind of gives it a shadow. And here I am off camera again. I need a buzzer so you guys can hit a buzzer. Go, so I know when I'm off camera. Okay. That looks much better. Yeah, we definitely want to shade his robe down some more. So we're going to go to my favorite backup on this. My wallet is starting to sweat just looking at the catalog of buildings on Blacksite Studio website. So many possibilities for modern missions. They have some nice stuff, I'm not going to lie. It's pre-colored. Dun, dun, dun. Nun oil. Yes, you heard it here. One of the very few GW products or Citadel products I use. Nun oil. All right, Mr. Captain Hawkeye Pierce. Franklin Pierce. I do, whatever the formula for nun oil is, it does work really well. I'll give them that. I do really like it. And I know there's others out there. I have one from Vallejo, and I know, like I said, Army Painter has their own, and Scale 75 I think has washes. But honestly, my standby is nun oil. And now that my favorite local game store has closed, Traxxer Games, I don't have a real local. I can go to the GW store. It's up at a shopping center away, but I'm a big proponent of supporting the local guy. But, you can only do what you can do. All right, we'll let him dry. You know what? I'm going to do his pants. Let's do the pants. Get them a little bit more detailed in their depth is what I'm looking for here. A little more depth. Perfect. I think that'll do it. Hawkeye is looking really, really good. I'll get him in here for you. We'll let that dry. Let's see what we got going on here. Overhauling those 91 Gulf War counters for possible retests on Sunday's stream, going with Panzer Leader model, so 150 meter hexes and Panzer Leader movement rates and range measures. They will be insane. 56 attack, 20 range, speed 14, and that's being conservative for an up-armored M1. What are you thinking about basing them? That's a good question. I've been doing clear bases like here, like on my Spectre minis. That's a clear base. Oops. That's a Mena Troop clear base. My Ultra Moderns from Radio Dish Dash, the Kickstarter that should be coming to completion soon. I've done clear acrylic bases. The reason being is that I want to use them in different geographical locations, and if I did them desert, but I played them in a jungle, to me it doesn't look right. For other people, they probably don't care. I love doing basing. So for these guys, I don't know. I probably will do a decorative base because I don't plan on truly using them in bolt action, at least not right this moment. That's not my plan. Like I said, I'm doing it more for fun and to use them as player characters in an RPG. So we'll have to see. I think he needs a little bit more lighting up. Let's lighten him up a little bit more. I want to go too light, then he'll look like a skeleton or undead. So, but yeah. So there it is. So there is, and I want to do a little bit on his boots to dirty them up. So I'm going to use a little bit of the gray with some brown and then some of the khaki to get me a muddy, dusty color. A worn leather look, if you will. And then we're just going to lightly paint it on the toes of his boots. And then I'm going to lighten it up just a skosh. And I'm going to mix those in so it looks worn, but not so obvious. A little bit of this here just to mix in. There we go. There is the Warlord Games. Oh, I didn't finish his. I can't go away without the martini. That would be just wrong on many levels. Extremely wrong. I don't drink martinis anymore. I overindulged, believe it or not. And the thought of vodka sends me over the edge. Truly, truly does. So, how do I paint thy glass? You know what? I'm going to go crazy. I really am going to go crazy. I am going to use is there a blue one? Tell me there's a blue one. Yes, there is. I'm going to use a special paint. And if you guys know these people out there, these are the Turbo Dork painters, acrylic paints, gloss paints, and they're made by turbodork.com. They sent me these as samples to review and try out. I'm going to use blue raspberry. As you can see, it's white, but it has a it's not bioluminescence. It's not an algae that shines in the light in the dark when you move it. But I'm going to use this on his martini glass. We'll see how it turns out. Okay. So you can see it's almost like a pearlized, if you will. So if I grab a little bit, it's whitish. You know, and they say best painted on a black primed. Get in there. But we're going to try it anyways. Let's see what happens. I'll probably have to do several coats, which is okay. All right, I'll have to let that one dry. I mean, it's hard to tell right now, but we'll get there. Let's see. I was gifted a bottle of similar paint for helicopter canopies. Tester's paint makes a green canopy paint. It's a clear green canopy paint for helicopters. You know, the ones that had the green plexiglass or glass. And I think they also make in a clearish. It's got like a light blue tint to it. You know, for acrylics. At least they used to. They used to make a paint like that. Oops, sorry. Here I'm kicking the camera. Rasmus, I just filled a 6x4 with drop zone MDF. Dang! So, let's see. Okay, it's starting to turn. I can see it. I know you probably can't see it in that screen. Let's see. I don't know if you can. I'm trying to... Oh, it's really hard, I guess, huh? All right, I'm going to give it another layer. Layers. All right. I'll have to let that dry. Oops, come here. Thank you. All right. Awesome. All right, we got another follower, and yay, we're 2 away. 2 away. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell strangers. You just never know. They'll either look at you weird or they'll become your new friend. So, the guys over at Black Site Studio, what's your next show you will be attending? So people out there can know. Are you going to Novus? Nope, no Nova. Okay. All right. Are we going to see you at Adepticon again next year? Are you planning on that one at least? Did that show do good for you guys, I hope? Hat turned out really good. It was a good combination. I would love to paint his eyes, but every time I do, then it really screws everything up. But they are calling to me. They are very well-defined eyes. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. You know, I need another light over the camera. That way it'd light that up for you guys. You could see better. Excellent. Millennium Con in Austin this year is next. Okay. Well, he's turning out really good. I like everything. It looks good. Oh, I really want to paint his eyebrows too. All right, we're going to try it and then we're going to close this out. So I have to go to a different brush set. Do 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 do. So for this set, I'm using the Adepticon Masters Mark II, and I have them in 000 and 000. I'm going to start with the 000. Oh, excellent. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Okay. I'm just getting my point ready. I'm going to take a little bit of this brown. And bear with me, guys. I need my jeweler's glasses here. I got to take my mic off. Stand by. Okay. I'm back. All right, Hawkeye, here we go. Make sure I'm in camera for you guys so you can watch me screw up. Don't need that one down. Oh, Hawkeye, what are you doing to me? Ooh, that's too thick. You know what? I can live with an adjustment on that, and it actually looks good. A little bit of flush. Oh, no, we came off the stand. Well, that was a good catch. I totally erased the eyebrow, which is fine, since I wanted to correct it anyways. Come on, lay it down. Okay. Okay. Gotta lay off the coffee. Hey, Chris, I don't know if you're still on, but wasn't that the best meme ever about the decaf coffee? I don't know if you guys all saw that, but there was a Facebook one that said if I ever ask for decaf coffee, I'm being held I'm being held hostage, or I've been kidnapped, or something like that. What's the point of drinking coffee if you get decaf? Seriously. I know. Doctor says I can't drink. I gotta have. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So I did paint his eyebrows, and because I'm a glutton for punishment, we're gonna paint his eyes. Scale 75, bright white. Just a little dab will do ya. Sorry, I have to kind of turn it away. Dang it. Okay. I'm gonna flush that out a little bit. It only takes one sneeze to screw this whole thing up. As I go cross-eyed looking at it. I'm going to use a little bit of this gray for his irises. Got a little paint blob. Try that again. Uno mas. I don't know how that happened, but I think I got one eyeball where I want it. This other one, not so much. Oh, now I'm painting black. Damn it. It's all right. We shall clean it up. It'll be fine. There. Look at that. His eyes actually look good. Oh my god. Possibly done it. Now to take a little bit of the red. Take some flesh. A little bit more flesh. A little bit more flesh. Looking for a flesh red. That's better. And we're going to lightly paint his lips. Lightly. I think I did it. Holy crap, I think I did it. Let me get my spectacles. My actual spectacles, so look how it looks like in normal people vision. Hey! Alright. Actually, I need a little touch up. Just a little touch up. Right here. Oh, I missed. Dang it. You see? Once you got it, leave it. Oh no, it's still there. Just can't see it in good vision. All right. Eyes are done. There you guys go. Let's see if I can actually show you. What do you think? How's it look? Martini glass. Face. Eyebrows. The works. Yep, double shot espresso every time right before bed really relaxes me. Do not paint your minis after 5 p.m. I'll get my coat. Wow, that looks great. Thank you. Looks good, G. Thank you. Jim, thank you. All right, guys. We are now at the end of our stream. We appreciate you all joining us tonight as we painted Hawkeye Pierce, or a facsimile of him from the Warlord games. Bolt Action Korea, MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. I'll bring up that so you can see. So it comes out of that kit. We'll definitely work on more. Guys, from this, I'm going to get this whole kit painted up. I really enjoy these. And it fits in perfectly with our conversation from the podcast from this week. Make sure you catch that podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell strangers. They're either going to think you're weird or they're going to become your new best friends. And everybody can use a friend or two, as long as they don't ask for money. We thank you guys. Again, we want to thank our amazing sponsor, Black Site Studio, for their support of this podcast. We hope that you will reward them for their generosity in helping support us, because it does take financial commitment to get all the software that we need running to stream across multi-platforms, because as you know, we stream across Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, Patreon, now Mixer. You find our podcasts on Google Podcasts and Apple Music Podcasts, whatever Apple went to. So all that takes, financial commitment, and they have come aboard to help us with that, so we can continue to bring you guys amazing modern warfare gaming in all ways, shapes, and forms. And again, if you are a Patreon supporter at the top level, you will soon, as soon as they come from the printers, a wonderful Sit Rep mug. We might throw in at the next level a official Big Jim Oriskany drinking game shot glass. Long story short, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Till the next time, we'll see you later.
Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Black Site Studio Terrain.